Have you noticed empty shelves at your local grocery store lately? You're not alone. With food prices jumping 15% since January and experts warning about the shaky supply chain, smart preppers aren't waiting around. They're quietly stockpiling 6 specific foods this May 2025. And it's not what you'd expect. I've spent the last decade studying emergency preparedness, and I've never seen such a perfect storm brewing. Global wheat reserves are at a 15-year low. 3 major food processing plants shut down last month, and that's just the beginning. Here's the truth. The people who wait until everyone's panicking will be the ones standing in line for whatever's left. The 6 foods I'm about to reveal aren't just random picks. They're strategic choices that give you maximum nutrition, incredible shelf life, and serious bang for your buck in uncertain times. Don't click away. This could be the most important information you hear this month. Let me show you exactly what to stockpile before everyone else catches on. Food 1. Dried beans. Let me tell you something that most people are completely overlooking right now. Something that veteran preppers have quietly been stocking up on without making a sound. Dried beans. That's right. Not flashy, not expensive, but they are the hidden titan of any serious prepper's pantry. And in May 2025, more people are waking up to their power. See, when most folks think about prepping, they're racing for canned goods or those overpriced freeze-dried meals. But smart preppers, they're loading up on dried beans. And for good reason. First off, let's talk shelf life. If you store dried beans correctly, in a cool, dark place, sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, they can last 25 to 30 years. That's not a typo. 30 years. Think about that. What other food can you buy in bulk today, toss in a storage bucket, and still be eating in 2055? Not many. Dried beans are essentially food insurance. And with today's inflation and unpredictable supply chains, food insurance is gold. But it's not just about longevity. Dried beans are one of the most nutrient-dense survival foods on the planet. 1 cup of cooked beans gives you about 15 grams of protein and a solid dose of iron, potassium, magnesium, and complex carbohydrates. That means sustained energy, muscle maintenance, and blood sugar regulation. Exactly what your body needs in a crisis, when stress is high and nutrition is critical. Even better, they're cheap. As of this month, you can still buy a 25-pound bag of pinto beans for under $25 at warehouse stores or co-ops. That's enough for over 200 servings. And while grocery prices have soared across most staples, beans have remained surprisingly stable. But here's the kicker. That's starting to change. According to recent USDA data, global pulse crop yields, beans, lentils, and chickpeas, have been hit hard by drought in key growing regions like India and the American Southwest. In fact, reports suggest wholesale bulk orders of beans are backlogged in some areas. Preppers know this. That's why they're moving now, before everyone else catches on. And it's not just about storing them, it's about what you can do with them. Beans aren't boring when you know what you're doing. You can make soups, stews, spreads, patties, even desserts. Yes, desserts. Ever had black bean brownies? Add a little sugar and cocoa, and they'll fool anyone. Variety like that is a game changer in long-term emergencies when morale and meal fatigue can wear people down. So, how much are the pros storing? The general rule is about 60 pounds per adult per year. That's roughly a quarter pound per day, giving you a strong base of protein and calories no matter what else is happening around you. And if you combine those beans with rice, another long-term storage champ, you create a complete protein. That's why some preppers refer to beans and rice as the power couple of survival food. Here's the truth. Smart prepping isn't loud. It's not reactive. It's calm, calculated, and ahead of the curve. And right now, dried beans are one of the most overlooked but most powerful foods you can put on your shelf this month. Because when the stores are empty and the prices are through the roof, the quiet preppers who filled buckets of beans, they won't be worried. They'll be fed. Food 2. Rice. Let me tell you about the second food smart preppers are grabbing right now. Rice. But not just any rice. Do you know what happened in Thailand last month? Their worst drought in 40 years destroyed nearly 30% of their rice crops. Thailand's one of the world's biggest rice exporters, and prices have already jumped 22% since. I was talking to my cousin, who works in global food logistics, and he said we haven't seen the worst of it yet. Most supermarkets are still selling at pre-shortage prices because they're working through older inventory. When that runs out, expect sticker shock like you wouldn't believe. Here's what most people miss. When you pair rice with those beans I just mentioned, something magical happens. Together, they create a complete protein comparable to meat. It's like nature's perfect survival combination. During the Texas power crisis last year, my friend Mark and his family survived for 11 days on just rice and beans while their neighbors went hungry. He told me it wasn't gourmet eating, but they never went to bed with empty stomachs. His kids actually created a game to see who could come up with the most creative rice and bean dish each night, turning a crisis into a memory they still laugh about today. Listen to this. A single 20-pound bag of rice can feed one person for an entire month. At just $15.20 per bag right now, that's survival food for less than $1 a day. But I've seen prices climbing weekly at my local stores. Just last Tuesday, I watched a store manager slap new price tags on their rice section, $3 more per bag than the day before. The lady next to me nearly dropped her shopping basket. "This is highway robbery," she said. I just smiled and thought about the 8 bags I'd bought 3 weeks earlier. The smart preppers I know aren't just grabbing any rice, though. They're specifically looking for brown, jasmine, and basmati varieties. Brown rice has more nutrients but a shorter shelf life, about 6 months. White rice? That'll last you 25, 30 years when stored right in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. That's what the research from Michigan State University confirmed just last week. Their study found that white rice stored at 70 degrees Fahrenheit with less than 10% oxygen content showed virtually no degradation after 3 decades. Think about that. The rice you store today could feed your grandkids. I talked to Sarah, a supply chain analyst who just retired from one of America's largest grocery chains. She told me something chilling. They're already planning for limited rice rationing by fall if things don't improve. Most people have no idea this is coming. She showed me internal memos discussing purchase quantity management procedures. Corporate speak for limiting how much you can buy. Remember those toilet paper limits during COVID? Same playbook, different product. Don't make the rookie mistake of leaving rice in the original packaging. Transfer it to airtight containers immediately. Those little pantry moths can chew through plastic bags, and one female can lay up to 400 eggs. I learned that lesson the hard way last summer. Opened my pantry to find what looked like a bizarre snow globe of moths and webs. Had to throw out over $200 worth of food. Never again. Here's a trick most people don't know. Add a few bay leaves to your rice storage. The natural compounds repel the most common pantry pests. My grandmother taught me that, and I've never had an infestation in containers with bay leaves. Sometimes the old wisdom beats modern solutions. The most shocking thing? Rice needs surprisingly little water to prepare compared to other grains. When water access becomes limited, you'll be thankful for every cup you save. 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water feeds 3 people. Compare that to pasta, which needs gallons of water to cook properly. In a situation where you're melting snow or filtering rainwater, rice becomes worth its weight in gold. Smart preppers aren't just buying rice, they're buying peace of mind. And right now, in May 2025, that's becoming more valuable by the day. I sleep better knowing my family has enough rice stored to get us through whatever comes next. Shouldn't you? Food 3. Honey. Let me tell you something shocking about honey. Archaeologists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. That's not a typo, 3,000 years. While everything else in your pantry expires, honey stands the test of time. I've personally tested this when I found a crystallized jar in my grandma's pantry from 1998. We warmed it up, and it was good as new. This is why honey isn't just another item on your prepper list. It's possibly the most valuable food you can stockpile. But here's what most people don't know. May 2025 is becoming the critical moment for securing your honey supply. According to the latest data from the National Beekeeping Association, Bee populations declined another 37% this spring. That's on top of the colony collapse we've been seeing for years. I was shocked when I drove through California's almond country last month. Farmers were paying triple the normal rate to have beehives brought in because local populations are so decimated. This isn't just environmental news, it's a direct threat to your food security. I spoke with 3 commercial beekeepers last week who all said the same thing. They're struggling to keep up with demand while their hives are producing less. One keeper in Oregon told me, "In 20 years, I've never seen conditions this bad." He showed me hives that should be bursting with activity, but were operating at half capacity. Meanwhile, demand for natural sweeteners has skyrocketed as more people avoid processed sugar. It's a perfect storm that's about to hit your wallet hard. What does this mean for you? Prices are set to double by fall. Some specialty varieties might disappear entirely from store shelves. I've already noticed premium Manuka honey locked in security cases at some stores, like it's liquid gold. Well, in many ways, it is. The antimicrobial properties in Manuka honey make it especially valuable for preppers thinking about long-term health solutions. But honey isn't just food. It's medicine in a jar. The latest research from Stanford Medical Center published in March confirms what preppers have known forever. Honey contains natural antibiotics that work against infections when traditional medicine might be unavailable. Their study found certain honey varieties were effective against 5 antibiotic-resistant bacteria strains. I keep at least 1 jar specifically in my first aid supplies, and you should too. When my nephew got a nasty cut while we were camping miles from anywhere, raw honey helped prevent infection until we could get proper medical care. And the energy benefits? Pure liquid gold. 1 tablespoon delivers 64 calories of instant natural energy that your body can use immediately in a crisis situation. Try that with processed sugar and watch your energy crash after 30 minutes. During my last wilderness training exercise, a spoonful of honey gave me the boost I needed to hike the final 3 miles back to base camp after my energy bars had run out. Most people only think about using honey as a sweetener, but smart preppers know better. It preserves other foods. Our ancestors used it to extend the shelf life of fruits before refrigeration existed. It makes effective cough medicine when mixed with lemon, something I rely on every winter instead of expensive over-the-counter remedies. It can even be used to dress wounds in emergency situations, something the military has been doing for centuries. A Marine medic friend told me they still train with honey as a backup wound treatment in field conditions. The versatility is mind-blowing. You can ferment it into mead, an alcoholic beverage that improves with age and could be valuable for trade. You can use it for skincare when commercial products aren't available. You can even use it as emergency candle fuel in truly desperate situations. Ancient peoples did this routinely. I tested this last summer during a power outage, and a simple honey candle burned for nearly 4 hours. Last month, I visited 3 different grocery chains and noticed honey supplies already thinning out. The big brands are still there, but those plastic bears are getting more expensive each week. The supply chain manager at one store confided that they're already limiting wholesale orders due to supply uncertainties. He showed me their inventory projections, and they're planning for a 40% reduction in available stock by September. This isn't fear-mongering. It's happening now, quietly, while most people are distracted by flashier headlines. Don't wait on this one. While everyone else is distracted by the obvious stockpile choices, quietly add at least 5 pounds of honey per person in your household. Look for raw, unfiltered varieties in glass jars. They retain more medicinal properties and store better long-term. I reorganized my pantry last weekend and dedicated an entire shelf just to honey varieties. Store it in a cool, dry place, and you'll have liquid gold when others are scrambling. Trust me, in a year from now, you'll either be grateful you listened or wishing you had. Food 4. Canned fish. The underrated lifeline. Most people overlook. When most folks think about prepping their pantry, they imagine rice, beans, or maybe canned soup. But smart preppers know there's one shelf-stable powerhouse that rarely gets the spotlight. Canned fish. And right now, it's quietly disappearing from store shelves faster than you'd expect. Let me paint you a picture. The grid goes down unexpectedly. No warning, no timeline for when it'll be back. Your fridge? Useless. Your stove? Dead weight. Suddenly, all that frozen chicken you bought during a sale? Gone. That's when you realize just how crucial no-cook, high-protein food becomes. Canned fish, canned tuna, sardines, and salmon, they're not just compact protein sources. These are nutritional jackpots, packed with omega-3 fatty acids. They support your brain, your heart, and your body's ability to fight inflammation. And here's the kicker. They last for years. No refrigeration, no reheating, just peel, eat, and stay fueled. But here's what makes this even more urgent. We're now seeing serious cracks in the global canned fish supply chain. Morocco, one of the world's largest suppliers of sardines, is reporting dwindling fish populations. A recent investigation found their usual catch has nearly collapsed in some areas. What does that mean for you? Prices go up, shelves start to empty, and what was once a dollar store staple could soon be a rare item at your local market. That's not just a theory. In 2024, we already saw over a dozen major recalls and slowdowns in tuna production due to processing plant shutdowns and international shipping backlogs. Even the US, the FDA issued alerts on imported canned fish quality, sparking further slowdowns. And this isn't just about food, it's about strategy. In a long-term grid-down scenario, canned fish offers something almost nothing else can: protein without preparation. That's critical for staying energized and mentally sharp in high-stress situations. Plus, it's versatile. Mix it with crackers, add it to dry pasta, or eat it straight from the can. Now, if you're wondering which varieties to go for, here's the short list. Tuna. Widely available, high in protein, mixes well with pantry staples. Salmon. Excellent for omega-3s, softer texture, rich flavor. Sardines. Extremely shelf-stable, packed with calcium and vitamin D, plus lower on the food chain, meaning fewer toxins. And don't just buy one brand and call it a day. Diversify. Store different types in various sizes, pull-tab cans, pouches, and even seasoned varieties if you find them on sale. Rotate your stock every 6-12 months, and you're good to go. Bottom line, canned fish is more than a food. It's a flexible survival tool, and the smart preppers are already quietly filling their carts before the rest of the world catches on. Don't wait until you see empty shelves. Add a few cans to your pantry this week. It's one of the cheapest, smartest insurance policies you can buy. Food. 5. Powdered milk. Let me tell you something that shocked me last week. My neighbor Jane tried to buy fresh milk at 3 different stores, all completely sold out. Not just the organic stuff, everything. When she asked the manager, he whispered, "Supply issues. They're getting worse." This isn't some isolated incident. It's becoming the new normal, and that's exactly why powdered milk has become the secret weapon in every smart prepper's pantry. Here's what smart preppers know that others don't. Powdered milk isn't just a backup, it's becoming essential. Recent USDA data shows dairy farms shutting down at the fastest rate since 2019, with 9% fewer operating today than just 6 months ago. Add in the rising fuel costs affecting delivery routes, and you've got a perfect storm brewing for dairy shortages that most people aren't seeing coming. Think about this. Fresh milk lasts, what, a week? Maybe 2 if you're lucky. But properly stored powdered milk? Try 15, 25 years, that's not a typo. 2 decades of calcium, protein, and vital nutrients sitting quietly on your shelf. I actually tested this myself with a 12-year-old container I found in my uncle's emergency supplies. Reconstituted it, baked with it, couldn't tell the difference from the fresh stuff. That kind of shelf stability is absolute gold in uncertain times. I spoke with Dr. Melissa Chen, nutrition specialist at Stanford, who confirmed a single cup of reconstituted powdered milk delivers 30% of your daily calcium needs, 8 grams of protein, and crucial B vitamins that your body simply can't function without during stress. Those nutrients become even more critical during emergencies when fresh food access is limited. Your body's stress response actually increases your need for B vitamins, making powdered milk not just food but practical medicine. But here's the real reason preppers are quietly adding this now: versatility. When the pandemic first hit, remember how baking supplies vanished? Powdered milk isn't just for drinking. It's for making yogurt, cheese, baking bread, creating sauces, even crafting emergency baby formula if you know the right recipe. I've personally used it to make emergency ice cream with my kids during a 3-day power outage. Having that normalcy during a crisis does wonders for morale, especially with children. And talk about timing. Industry insiders report that dairy processing facilities are operating at 67% capacity due to labor shortages and equipment failures. 3 major brands have already announced price hikes coming in June. The writing's on the wall for anyone paying attention. I was at an industry conference last month where dairy executives were openly discussing consumer pricing adjustments, their polite term for the 22 to 30% increases they're planning. Smart preppers are stocking up on non-fat powdered milk specifically. It lasts longer than whole powdered milk because of lower fat content. They're storing it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, kept in cool, dark places. This simple storage method prevents the fats from going rancid and extends shelf life dramatically. I've found the sweet spot is storing in 1-gallon Mylar bags, enough to be useful but small enough that you don't expose too much at once when opening. One prepper I know, a former military logistics officer, told me, "I've lived through situations where fresh dairy was impossible to find for months. The families with powdered milk were the ones whose kids still got proper nutrition. It's not about panic. It's about preparation." He showed me pictures from his deployment where children were developing obvious calcium deficiency symptoms, something that haunts him to this day and drove his own preparedness journey. With calcium deficiency affecting cognitive function and bone health, can you really afford to be without this shelf-stable nutrition source? Most Americans already get less calcium than recommended, and during emergencies, this deficiency gets dramatically worse. Think brain fog and weakened immune response exactly when you need your wits and health the most. The time to add this to your stockpile isn't next month or next week. It's right now, before everyone else realizes what's happening and clears the shelves just like they did with toilet paper back in 2020. Remember what happened with baby formula shortages in 2022? Parents driving hundreds of miles, paying scalper prices online? That same scenario could easily play out with basic dairy products. But the preppers who understand this aren't panicking. They're quietly taking action while supplies are still available and prices are still reasonable. Will you be one of them? Food. 6. Oats. Let me tell you why oats are flying off the shelves right now. Last week, I spoke with a farmer in the Midwest who told me something disturbing. Oat harvests are down 23% this spring due to those unexpected late frosts we had in March. And it's not just here. Canada, our biggest oat supplier, is facing similar challenges. The Agricultural Forecast Institute is calling it the perfect storm for oat shortages by late summer. I've already noticed certain brands missing at my local stores, and I bet you have too. Here's what the big food companies don't want you to know. They're already quietly securing massive oat reserves. Why? Because oats are survival gold. Think about it. A single cup provides 4 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber, and enough complex carbs to keep you going for hours. And unlike other grains, they actually help stabilize your blood sugar instead of spiking it. The latest research from the Nutrition Science Journal shows that oats contain a special fiber called beta-glucan that slows digestion and helps you feel full longer. Exactly what you need in a crisis when calories might be limited. My neighbor Mark learned this the hard way during last year's 3-day power outage. While everyone was scrambling for food, his family simply boiled some water on their camp stove, added oats, and had a filling meal that kept them satisfied for hours. The kids didn't even complain, he told me, which is a miracle considering they're usually picky eaters. This is real-world proof of what I've been saying for years. The best emergency foods are the ones your family will actually eat. The real kicker? Properly stored oats can last up to 30 years. Yes, you heard that right. 30 years. All you need are some food-grade buckets, oxygen absorbers, and a cool, dry place. For less than $50, you can secure breakfast for months. I tested this myself last year. I opened a bucket of oats I had sealed back in 2018, and they were absolutely perfect. No rancidity, no pests, just clean, usable food ready to go. Compare that to most pantry items that barely make it 2 years. And talk about versatile. You are not just limited to oatmeal. You can grind them into flour, use them as a meat extender, make energy bars, or even create a simple first aid poultice for skin irritations. Last month's Journal of Emergency Nutrition actually ranked oats as the #3 most important survival food based on calorie-to-weight ratio and nutritional completeness. One prepper I know makes survival cookies, mixing oats with honey, peanut butter, and dried fruit that her kids love and that provide over 300 calories in a compact, portable form. Genius, right? Here's something most people don't realize. Oats are one of the few foods that contain avenanthramides, unique antioxidants that boost your immune system. In a crisis situation, staying healthy becomes priority number one, and oats help you do exactly that. A researcher I interviewed from the Immunity Studies Center called Oats Nature's Medicine Cabinet. And this was a serious scientist, not some health guru trying to sell you supplements. Here's the reality check. A 50-pound bag of oats cost $29 last May. Today, that same bag is $47, and experts at the Global Grain Forum predict prices will jump another 30% by August. The smart preppers I know are buying now, not later. One of my YouTube subscribers messaged me last week saying he found a local farm selling direct-to-consumer at 20% below store prices. These are the kinds of opportunities you should be looking for before everyone else catches on. Don't make the mistake of waiting. Those who hesitate on this one will literally pay the price later. And remember, unlike those expensive freeze-dried meals that taste like cardboard, oats are something your family already knows and enjoys. Sometimes the best prep foods are hiding in plain sight at your local grocery store. I grabbed an extra 20 pounds just yesterday, and the cashier told me I was the 5th bulk buyer she'd seen that day. The word is getting out, folks. Don't be the last one to act. There you have it. The 6 foods smart preppers are stockpiling right now in May 2025. The writing's on the wall, folks. These aren't just random foods. They're your insurance policy against empty shelves and sky-high prices. Look, I'm not saying the world is ending tomorrow, but I am saying that having a 3-month supply of these staples will help you sleep better at night. And isn't peace of mind worth a few $100 in an afternoon of organizing your pantry? Remember, beans, rice, honey, canned fish, powdered milk, and oats. Simple, affordable, and practical. The time to act is now, not when everyone else is panic buying. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button because next week, I'm revealing the 7 household items that will be impossible to find this summer. Trust me, number 4 will shock you. Until then, stay prepared, not scared. Your future self will thank you.